Netflix's new docuseries, You Are What You Eat, The Twin Experiment, is one of the most controversial docuseries that I've ever seen in a long time. It almost felt like it was an ad for the vegan diet. And before all the vegan dieters who are hardcore vegan dieters come at me saying, I don't care about the environment, this YouTube channel is all about self-development and personal health. So if you get triggered by watching or listening to this episode, I urge you to not watch this. But people who are interested in this perspective, who are interested in different perspectives, who are willing to have open conversations about the issues that we are currently facing with diets and cardiovascular disease and other diseases, this is for you. And so this episode, along with the mission of my podcast and my YouTube channel, this will come from a health perspective. And so just to tell my audience right now, if you're watching this and if you are tempted or if you have watched the docuseries on Netflix about the twin experiment, you will probably gain more value from this episode than the whole 4-hour docuseries on Netflix. Just to put it out there, I think I see that as a more logical way to put it out there, because this podcast, unsponsored, I believe in evidence-based things. And so this is my way of kind of ruling things in terms of what works and what doesn't, in terms of diet and lifestyle and nutrition, right? So let's just get started. Claim number one made by these vegan dieters or anyone who kind of resides in this particular camp of, let's say, a diet, and they believe hardcore in that diet. And that claim is American diet is the enemy. And again, going back to that Netflix series, their whole tagline is you are what you eat. And then they said American diet is the enemy. When we look at stats, we find that number one killer in the US is not the American diet. Yes, there is a problem with the American diet. High processed consumption of meat. We have processed sugars. Yes, there is a problem. But number one killer in US is heart disease. And to make such claims like that American diet is the enemy, you're putting everyone in America at risk of food fear. You are putting everyone in America at the risk of anorexia. Millions of people are watching this. Millions of people are watching this series questioning that if their diet is healthy. And by saying a ridiculous statement, American diet is the enemy, you are creating or you are facilitating mental health issues. And number one issue is anorexia nervosa, where a person deliberately eats less in the fear that they will gain weight. There are a lot of people and a lot of girls suffering from this in the United States. Going back to the diet and diseases that come from diet. When we look at a disease, when we look at heart disease, for example, it is multifactorial. A person who comes in the ER with a myocardial infarction, their disease starts years back, 20 years. It takes maybe 30 years. And it's a combination of diet, it's a combination of amount of sleep they're getting, it's a combination of stress, exercise, their relationships. In fact, we have so much interesting research on how our social relationships determine our mortality. So this is something to think about when we are looking at these documentaries. We have to think about if you're really wasting time on a 4-hour documentary or actually kind of taking like 2 steps back and developing this scientific mind. Okay? Lastly, overconsumption is the enemy. It's not about a diet. It's about overconsumption. People who study medicine, and I haven't taken any pharmacology course yet in my PA school, but I could reference this back to my pharmacokinetics course in undergrad, when we are, let's say there's a medication, right? Some medications only work well in a tight range. We can all agree on that. When you oversupply someone with a medication, certain side effects happen. When you undersupply someone with the medication, you don't fix the problem. It's the same with food. If you keep over consuming food, if you are in a caloric surplus every single day, in America, people eat about 400 calories more every single day on average. And so if you are in that calorie surplus every single day, guess what could happen? Metabolic syndrome. Your risk of metabolic syndrome goes up. Obesity, diabetes, hypertension, all of those. And so it's not the diet, it's about the overconsumption. Claim number 2, cheese is biologically addictive. When I heard this, I lost my shit. Casomorphine, right? Casomorphine sounds like a drug, right? Morphine, casomorphine. There is absolutely no backed evidence that casomorphine is addictive. You can say the same thing with fruits. Fructose is addictive. I just said the same thing with fruits. You can say the same things with particular food groups and induce fear in certain people. Okay? When they said cheese is biologically addictive, they increased fear towards dairy. And when they did that, I bet multiple or even actually thousands and millions of people considered to cut out dairy from their diet. And they kind of believed that the reason why they're not losing weight is because dairy is addictive, is because cheese is addictive, and that is the reason why they are not able to lose weight. No one is craving blocks of cheese every single day. You just don't wake up from your sleep and just crave a block of mozzarella cheese from the store. This claim is not supported by research. Again, there are general rules, right? Like, there are general rules in terms of diet, which I am privileged to understand. Overconsumption is the enemy. If you eat too much cheese is a great source of protein for vegetarians, okay? And if you're a vegetarian, cheese is a great source, but when you overdo it, you increase your chance for obesity and metabolic syndrome. But when you take that in moderation, it supports your muscle mass. It supports your heart health. It supports your other features of physical and mental health. Claim number 3, processed meats cause cancer. Now, there might be some truth to this, but what meats are we talking about? The things are so generalized in that documentary that it makes you question that, okay, I feel like this documentary is definitely an ad for veganism. Because what meats are we talking about? Are we talking about pork? Are we talking about beef? Are we talking about fish? Are we talking about chicken? Is there any research to back it up? There's literally nothing cited. It's just words. It's just words coming out of people who believe in a certain agenda. And even if you look at people, if you look up people from the documentary, most of them are advocates of veganism. They are aversive to omnivore diet. Their whole philosophy is aversive to meat. So when you have these, you can say, excellent researchers really hating meat, you know what happens. Misinformation spreads like virus, like COVID. And that is what happened. And so they did not even distinguish between different types of meat. And I know a little bit about this. I may not know a lot about it, but when we're talking about processed meats, they're generally like hot dogs. They're generally sausages. They're definitely not chicken and definitely not some type of fishes, but I might be wrong, but definitely not chicken. So why can't we why didn't they talk about increasing their protein in terms of increasing chicken consumption? They did not talk about that. They could have said, okay, reducing maybe processed meats like hot dogs and sausages may be beneficial for people because that may reduce the risk of certain types of, let's say, colorectal cancers and other types of cancers. But I also looked up some of the research around this, okay? There might be something to processed meats, but some studies also show there's no correlation between processed meats and cancer. Because you know what? Confounding variables. When we talked about multifactorial events, this is again bringing this same topic, confounding variables in research. When they do studies like these, you have to focus on their BMI. Number one risk factor for cancer is obesity. People who are obese, their likelihood of cancer is so much higher than a normal, average, healthy person who eats processed meats. I can say that again, but you can go back 10 seconds and listen to that again. Obesity, number one risk factor for cancer. So instead of beating around the bush with processed meats, instead of going vegan if you're obese, the number one thing for you to do is to find healthy ways to reduce your weight. Issue number 4. There's no mention of calories. The whole docuseries aversive to calories. They did not even tell us what the vegan twins ate in terms of calories and omnivore twins were eating in terms of calories. When you look at peer-reviewed data, and when you look at any of research papers, any nutritional papers, they always have calories. They always provide you with calories, whether if it's in the main article or in the supplemental section. They always do that. But here, no, they did not, because it doesn't fit their agenda, right? Because their whole agenda, an ad for veganism. Veganism is a diet. Diet is irrespective of calories, right? So they weren't transparent about that, and I wasn't really happy about that as well. I had to sit through 4 hours because at the second episode, I thought, okay, I'll keep watching this because this is a great content idea. So here we are. So those are the 4 issues. And I want to highlight this again, one more time. Each of these issues, they are kind of, what they're doing is, they are, by saying dairy is addictive, by showing the things about hog farms, how the hog poops are sprayed around different people's houses. I empathize with that. That's really, really wrong. But since I don't have a lot of knowledge about environmentalism and the effects of omnivore diet on environments, maybe we'll have some guest on for that in terms of the effects of omnivore diet on the environment. But just every episode, they picked out certain things. One of the episodes was dairy. The second episode was chicken, right? The bacteria in the chicken and how it could spread around the kitchen. And in that way, they kind of induced fear. And then with the hog farms, they kind of induced fear with all these protein-rich foods. It fits their agenda of veganism. What this does is, again, pushes people to be anorexic. I'm not saying everyone, but some people might be really susceptible to this stuff. And so I don't understand why controversial things are on Netflix right now. So heavily controversial. Let's just talk about the results and wrap it up quick. One of the first results was lower LDL cholesterols for vegan diets, right? For vegan diet, the vegan twins. Go figure. They were eating fiber. Okay. When you compare two groups, omnivore group and a vegan group, the vegan group was taking in more fiber. Go figure what's going to happen. We have enough data to support that. eating more fiber compared to someone who does not eat fiber, you will lower your LDL cholesterols. Okay, that's not really surprising at all. Okay. But the second result, and we have to talk about this, more weight lost in vegan diet group. And when you do the DEXA scan analysis, when you do the body composition analysis, vegan diet the twins, they did not preserve any lean mass. And that's why they lost more weight. This rubs me so wrong. This is misleading. Yes, they lost more weight, but metabolic health really depends on your muscle mass. Your resting metabolic rate comes from your lean body mass. Your lean body mass is determinant of your resting metabolic rate. So if you improve your lean body mass, the only way to accelerate or to optimize your resting metabolic rate is to have a healthy level of lean body mass. Again, you cannot control the lean body mass around your organs, but you can control lean body mass of the muscle, the muscular mass, right? So when yes, they lost more weight, but they did not preserve any lean mass. Do you really want that? This is really important, because if you go on a vegan diet and if you don't count calories, if you don't have enough protein in your diet, yes, you will lose. You might also lose weight because you're taking in more fiber. Fiber induces satiety. Satiety means it's a feeling of fullness. So if you eat more fiber, you're more likely to feel full, which makes it easier for you to lose weight. There's so much confounding. Again, there are certain themes in nutrition and in weight loss that I think everyone should have a basic knowledge of it. It's the idea of confounding variables. Okay? When you look at obesity, there are a lot of confounding variables that could lead to obesity. It could be nutrition, it could be exercise, it could be sleep. In fact, if you have sleep apnea, it may increase your risk of obesity as well. And if you have obesity, it may increase your risk of sleep apnea. These are confounding variables that every individual need to assess for themselves. And if you have a medical provider and if you have a medical professional, that's even better, who could sit down with you and explain all these components. Conclusion. My conclusion of this is just an 8-week study. They did not mention any calories. They pushed vegan diet to the limits, which honestly, it increased more my acceptance of vegan diet will be less now because they messed it up, honestly. And it's, again, going back to that point, it's just an 8-week study. It's not super long. So in 8 weeks, you cannot see any significant changes. Yes, those sexual changes that the females encountered, the sexual arousal changes. Okay. Again, coming back to confounding. This rubs me so wrong. I might be going on tangents, but when they did sexual arousal study at the end in episode 4, that could be due to just them losing weight. It's not nothing. It's not about It's not about the diet they picked. The vegan dieters who experience more higher quality of sexual arousals at the end, it might be because of their just losing weight, or it might be because of it's better sleep after losing weight. It might be so confounding. Nothing's so magical in this world. Nothing just works to the T 100% of the time. Second conclusion is stick to the diet that's sustainable for you. When we look at successful weight loss and people who successfully lose weight, the people who lose weight and keep it off are the people who have a sustainable diet all throughout their journey. Pick one diet, stick with it. If you're an omnivore, stick with it. If you grew up vegetarian, if you want to stay vegetarian, stick with it. Don't go do vegan diet because you watched this documentary. If you want, do it. It's your life. But in terms of educating people through this podcast, I would say stick to the diet that's sustainable for you, because we have data. I have made an entire 3-hour long episode on breaking that down. Go check it out if you want to. But people who lose weight, keep it off, they are the ones who stick with only one diet and one diet only. Third conclusion is seek ways to increase fiber and protein. You can absolutely lower LDL cholesterol on an omnivore diet. 3 top fiber sources, I'm going to give it to you right now, which may lower your LDL levels on an omnivore diet. Number 1 is raspberries. Raspberries have a lot of fiber. In one serving of raspberries, you have 8 grams of fiber. Number 2 is peas. Peas also have 4 to 5 grams of fiber in one serving. Okay? And number 3, beans, lentils. Okay? They also have up to 7 grams of fiber and 7 grams or more of fiber in one serving. I might be wrong, but it might be a lot of fiber in one serving. So those are the top 3. So I gave you a fruit, and then peas, and lastly, that's the same thing. But anyways, but 3 top food sources that I like too. So I don't know if are peas lentils? Legumes. Excuse my nutrition knowledge over here. But yes, legumes. And then lentils. So fruits, lentils, and legumes. Those are the top 3 that you can focus on. And then limit excess calories in processed meats. There might be something to processed meats, but if you are having fresh meat, even if it's fresh ground beef, I usually pick out ground beef that's like 93% lean. That's my go-to option. 99% is really expensive. Maybe when I graduate PA school, and maybe when I have a good pay, I will invest in 99% lean beef. But for now, I'm going to do 93% lean beef. So limiting your calories and your processed meats is the best option. And so I hope you liked this breakdown. I hope you liked this little analysis of, are vegan diets superior to omnivore diets? And I assumed, I hope I answered your question. They're not superior. It's not superior because there's a lot of confounding variables. Every diet works on an individual basis, personal preferences, lifestyle. So follow what you can, but the general rules are eating in moderation. That means not surpassing your calorie limit, increasing your protein intake by, even if it's taking in whey protein every day, 2 scoops. The person in the documentary says dairy is addictive. Again, no one drinks 4 bottles of bottles of whey protein shake every day, because protein shake or whey protein comes from dairy. So it just boggles my mind. And lastly, increase your fiber intake. Raspberries, some sort of legumes like peas or lentils. And yeah, this is my blueprint for improving your health for 90% of the people, okay? We are average people. 90% of the people can really benefit from this advice. I hope you liked it. I'll catch you in another podcast or a YouTube video. Thank you for watching.